The college hockey offseason has arrived for University of North Dakota hockey, and who better to talk about it than the man who covers this program better than anybody else, Brad Schlossman of the Grand Forks Herald. Brad, this North Dakota season didn't go the way many expected. First time in 4 years, they failed to make the NCAA tournament. Even though this team played great down the stretch, it feels like the inability to pick up wins in the first half was just too much to overcome for this group.
Yeah, I think we always tend to look at the last thing that happened, and you look at the St. Cloud State game and think they're one goal away from playing CC to go to the NCAA tournament, and would have had a good chance to be playing Quinnipiac and Fargo this weekend. But I think I look at the first 2 months of the season, because had they played the first 2 months like they played the last three, that game wouldn't have even mattered to get into the tournament. They would have been a 2 seed. They really played well. The final 3 months, they had twice as many wins as losses, and that is going to put you in a really good position in a league like the NCHC. But I think there's another prime example of how important the start of the season is. They dug themselves too big of a hole. They got close to digging out of it, but couldn't quite get there. And I'm sure that's going to be something Brad Berry impresses upon his team as they head into next season. That first month is going to be critical.
The season just wrapped up on Friday, but there's already been significant roster movement. As you'd expect, it's transfer portal season. We've already seen North Dakota sophomores enter the portal. Jacob Helston, Brent Johnson, Luke Bast, and Matteo Costantini all putting their names in. What's your take on those decisions?
Well, I think when you look at guys who are out of the lineup, that is going to be something in the new era of the transfer portal that you're always going to have to watch. And especially when they're NHL draft picks and they're out of the lineup. That didn't particularly surprise me to see those guys go in. I am interested to see where they're going to end up.
So North Dakota loses 2 defensemen, a goalie, and a forward to the portal in the first couple of days of it being opened. What are the ripple effects of those moves for this roster, Brad?
Well, now you got to find some replacements for them. And, at forward, they're pretty well stocked. They have Jaden Perron and Michael Emerson coming in. They only have 2 guys whose eligibility expires up front. So there's not a lot of shuffling that's going on yet up front. That's going to look a fairly similar group up there next year, with the exception of Senden and Hain, who have been fixtures for 5 years. But the back end, it's going to be completely different. Tyler Clevin has not signed yet. I think the assumption is that he's going to. Ethan Frisch is certainly going to have a chance to sign. So now all of a sudden, it's possible that there's only 1 defenseman back. There is a large group of defensemen ready to come in. There's 5 of them, but you can't have those guys playing first pair minutes. If you just think back to guys like even Matt Kierstead and Ethan Frisch. Those guys weren't ready. They were great players. They weren't ready to play first pair as freshmen. There aren't many Jake Sandersons out there. So you need to put them in situations where they're going to have success. And to do that, they need to get transfers who are older and who can play that role. So expect to see them get probably 2 transfers on D to try to get a little bit older in that spot, at least 1. But I would guess 2. And then in net, they lose Drew DeRitter's eligibility's expired. Jacob Helston's in the transfer portal. That probably seals Hobie Hedquist is coming. He has 1 more year of junior eligibility left, but I think he now comes in to be the number 2. And then they go and grab a transfer to be the number 1. For forwards are going to look quite similar, I think, overall. The back end is going to be completely different.
So things to watch as we transition further into the offseason, certainly. You mentioned the forward group and some of the players who do have eligibility left that are still waiting to make decisions. We don't know yet on Judd Caulfield. We don't officially know yet on some of the guys at the back end. Yep. We do know that Reese Gaber is coming back. That announcement was made on Tuesday. Why is Reese deciding to come back for his senior season, Brad?
In talking to him, the phrase he kept using was, I have more to give. I thought that was interesting. He's obviously a very dynamic player. He scored 20 goals, first guy since Shane Gersich in 16-17 to do that. And he's such a great fit on this team too, because they have a lot of guys who are really dynamic, but they prefer to pass first. You've got Jackson Blake, who's a little bit of a pass first guy. Owen McLaughlin's a pass first guy. Jaden Perron, who's coming in, he's a pass first guy. And so now you have a guy who can shoot. And I think that's a really good compliment with some of those guys. And man, UND's got to be really excited about that. That's a huge coup to get him back.
Yeah, two-time all-conference forward. He was a preseason All-American this year. And as you said, brings back all that scoring and all that experience and that fire to this group as they try and reset for the 2023-24 season. Well, Brad, there's a lot of moves yet to be made. We'll certainly be following your coverage over the entirety of the offseason until we get ready for hockey to start again in the fall. Thanks again for the time. Best of luck covering this team.
Perfect. Thanks, Alex.